Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface on the Alpha for Battle for Azeroth. Now over the last couple of weeks I've brought you some changes to various classes and their specs in the next expansion. I dealt with the Warlock first and now I'm dealing with Hunter. A couple of days back I brought you a video on Survival and today I'm going to be dealing with Marksmanship. But before I do, I need to have one final word about Survival. Something which I neglected to bring in that video. And it's very important indeed. I get excited. And I was really excited at the hybrid nature of the spec. And completely forgot to tell you something very vital indeed. You see, even with the Survival, you can use your aspect of the Eagle. And that will convert your Raptor Strike, which is a melee ability, into a 40-yard ranged ability for 15 seconds. An aspect of the Eagle is only on a 1.5 minute cooldown. So that really kind of shakes things up as to how viable a hybrid spec it really is. Some people are saying in the comment section, well, you know, obviously it's clearly leaning towards melee, which it absolutely was. But when you bring this aspect in, it does allow for great utility, because if you come out of trouble, you can still use your powerful melee strike. So I'm just going to quickly show you in action now. So I've got this poor little Murloc targeted here. If I hit aspect of the Eagle, waff! There we go. Suddenly, Raptor Strikes come flying in. Now, I'm out of focus, of course, now. But I still managed to get about 4 or 5 of them off before it drained my focus. And the poor thing just got absolutely torn to pieces. Press F in the comment section to pay your respects. So with that said, now let's turn our attention to marksmanship. Now, as you can probably clearly tell, we're on the live servers and this is my Hunter. Not massively well geared, but decent. And I play marksmanship with my Hunter because I think it's the most fun spec to play for a Hunter at the moment. I know there's probably a bunch of Beastmasters out there going, okay, no, I get that. But for me, I like a spec which flows. This is a problem that I've had with some of the specs in recent years. And marksmanship to me is just wonderful. You get these procs that just come up that allow the spec to just go. You know, the maneuverability of the Hunter itself. It's just easy stuff. It's great stuff. It's like very fulfilling. And you get a great sense of pride and accomplishment for actually doing something. Also, of course, you have no pet. I'm a Warlock and I'm used to pet management. So being able to turn a Hunter into an Archer, let's say, I do like that aspect a lot. And you get a good boost for doing so. 18% increased damage by going Lone Wolf. And of course, the mighty aim shot, which will do 50% increased damage to a mob which has not yet taken any damage. So, you know, the likelihood is it's probably not even going to get close to you before it takes an almighty smack. So, the fluidity of a spec to me is what makes a spec a whole load of fun. So, switching live now to the Alpha for Battle for Azeroth, the very least that you would hope is this spec also is as fluid as it is on the live servers. And this is where I think marksmanship starts to suffer from a wee bit of Legionitis. And by Legionitis, what I mean by that is change for change's sake and not necessarily change to make the spec better. I kind of like to work off the philosophy of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I also understand that they want to make things feel a wee bit fresh when a new expansion comes along, so things don't get stale. But with marksmanship, I'm not sure. So I'll tell you as for why. Number one, Lone Wolf has now gone to a passive ability. And all these that I'm going to go through now are just base changes before we even look at any talents. And if you play marksmanship on live, Lone Wolf currently is a talent that offers 18% increased damage if you don't have a pet active. Now, it has been a little while, admittedly, since I did any proper testing in as regards to the contribution of a pet to your overall damage. But as a rule of thumb, I believe that pets tend to do, maybe not exactly, but tend to do around about 10% of your damage. Now, if that is the case, then Lone Wolf is really... Well, it's kind of just saying, look, if you don't want the hassle of a pet, you're going to get 10% increased damage. However, if you do want to have a pet back out for this spec, we're not going to penalise your damage because your pet will be compensating for that. And if that is the case, then to me, you should really have a pet out at all times because the utility that the pet's going to offer as a tank to hide behind, the CC options that it brings available to the table, and of course, if you're hiding behind a tank, it allows you to do more damage because you're not having a rotation broken in any shape, way, or form. So, to me, as a warlock for X amount of years, I say take the pet all day long. So I'm not convinced about this Lone Wolf going passive, or at the very least, I'm certainly not convinced about the damage that it's offering as a passive ability. Marked Shot, gone. Has actually gone, and Hunter's Mark is now going to be a talent as well, just to add that in. So all this kind of like vulnerability stuff is like out the window right now. And what they've done is they brought in Steady Shot instead, which is a longer cast time, but can be cast on the move. So it does bring some functionality to the spec, but okay. And then we see that Aim Shot now operates off 2 charges, as opposed to just being able to be used when you have the focus available and when you want to use it. And the recharge rate on that is 12 seconds to charge as well. So 24 seconds to get both charges back. Then we have the addition of Rapid Fire, which looks and is quite a cool ability. It's a focus generating ability, which is always good as well. But I'm kind of thinking, why? You know, does it enhance the spec to have it in? I'm not convinced. Now, before we go into the talents and look at the talents, I just want to do a wee bit of combat with you, but combat where I just communicate instead of having the nice little music montage. Because what I'm not saying, and I want to make this absolutely clear, what I'm not saying is this spec is weak. In actual fact, I think this spec is very strong. But it just feels clunky. Like, for instance, if I was to pull off one of these boys here, you start off with an aim shot, get myself the increased damage. Bang. That has just got 1 shot. If I go for the next one next to it, we don't deal as much, but, you know, you can still use your utility, pull back. But they were dead in no time. Now, this is a rare mob, 95k health. I know I'm in bog standard gear here. I got to stress that. I know I'm in bog standard gear, and that obviously is having an effect on damage ratios and whatnot. But even with that said, if I start to attack this creature here, this is where, to me, the spec just feels completely non-intuitive. It doesn't seem to flow for me. So if I was to hit a True Shot, it used to be True Shot Aura, and then open up with an Aim Shot so we can get a couple of big bangs out of it. It goes through the Tar Trap to slow it down, and I have another proc here. Starting off with a couple of nice procs, but the sort of rarity, as I try and disengage, the rarity that they seem to come up, knock it back a bit there. The rarity that seems to happen, you know, I just feel, as if I've had all my sort of utility taken away from me. If I want to do the big hit, I've got to stand still. Steady Shot not compensating for it. Let's heal up a wee bit. And again, just pull back, do a concussive shot to slow it down a wee bit. Get a little bit of movement going. But again, the Steady Shot, Rapid Fire, it's going to gank me in a sec on the off thing. I just feel as if I'm constantly struggling with the spec. I just feel as if I'm intuitively going against it, and all that I seem to be relying on is the Steady Shot aspect. But if I go to the Aim Shot part, yeah, let's get Turtle Power up. It's just not happening. Just not happening one bit in terms of feeling as if the spec's working with me. I feel as if it's working against me. I feel as if I'm constantly up against the wall here. Yeah, sure. I'll be the first to admit, not the best of hunters, but I'm not the best of hunter on live either. And it just feels so clunk, and I think I'm just going to do it. There we go. Just managed to do it, but it felt really, really awkward. It felt really unintuitive. I felt as if I was always struggling against the spec, and that's not the kind of feel and vibe that you want. Yeah, and certainly not how I feel on the live servers, where I'm playing with the exact same skill level as I am now with a hunter. Right, so let's now have a look at the talent tree. And what I will stress is I am switching and changing talents all the time with this spec to try and find something which does make it feel more fluid and a little bit more fun. So don't be fooled by what you necessarily see up there. I am kind of like switching and interchanging and whatnot as things go along. But as you can tell, it's a lot different than the live version. First up, we have Master Marksman. Passive ability. Aim shot has a 30% chance to reduce the focus cost of your next arcane shot or multi-shot by 100%. That's what we could see on the procs when I was doing my aim shots. It seems to proc okay-ish, he says. Serrated shot, 10 focus cost, instant ability. Fire a shot that buries deep into your target, causing them to bleed instantly, and then an additional bleed damage over 12 seconds. So you can try and bring this in. I have played with this as a wee bit. Use this to sort of take the spot of Mark Shot. Doesn't quite work. The damages that it offers are really low in comparison to the other abilities. So, you know, longer fights maybe, but short-term fights, not really, to be perfectly honest with you. A Murder of Crows, 20 focus, instant ability. This seems to change all around the talent tree, you know. Now it's on a tier 1 level. You know the score with Murder of Crows, 1 minute cooldown, send in a flock of crows, they go, ah, and piss people off. Next level, we got Careful Aim. This is shifting from tier 1, I believe, now to tier 2, because suddenly it just got more powerful. Aim Shot, and it is slightly different in all fairness. Aim Shot has a 20% chance to deal 200% bonus damage to targets who are above 80% health or below 20% health. That's why you can get massive insta-hits with your aim shot to start with. Especially if you were to combine it with, say, True Shot, get a crit. You can have all manner of damage when it comes to an opening aim shot on a target. And I think you'll find, like I said, that's why it feels powerful, because if you're opening up with your aim shot, which you probably should be, because it's dealing the 50% increased damage anyway, plus being a strong hitter, all manner of stuff could happen. Volley comes in. Remember Volley? As a passive ability, though, your auto shots have a chance to cause a volley of arrows to rain down around the target, dealing physical damage to each enemy within 8 yards. So really, I mean, it's a bit odd, this one, in terms of explosive shot and volley are AoEs. Careful Aim is clearly a single target. But okay. And explosive shot, again, kind of working as it does now. 20 focus, instant ability, 30-second cooldown, fires a slow-moving munition directly forward, activating this ability. A second time, detonates it, and it does kaboom damage to enemies within 8 yards. If you do not detonate explosive shot, 10 focus, and some of the cooldown will be refunded. Okay, so if you mess up, whatever. Trailblazer, movement speed is increased by 30% anytime you're not attacked for 30 seconds. Natural Mending, every 20 focus you spend reduces its cooldown by 1 second. And Camouflage, again, this is across the board for all the specs. 60 talents, Steady Focus, passive ability. Using Steady Shot reduces the cast time of Steady Shot by 0.25 seconds up to 3 times using any other shot removes this effect. So that is using steady, steady, steady. It's going to reduce the cast time by 0.75. Cast time at the moment, with a little bit of haste, is 1.72. So let's just say it would reduce it down to 1 second eventually. And then I think it would reset. Again, something to probably be tested. Streamline. Passive ability rapid fire now lasts an additional 2 seconds. So that's this here. That I'm doing, you know, if I'm using it, if I'm having to put it in, I might as well try and make it last as long as I can. I don't know. And then Hunter's Mark is now coming in as an active ability, 60-yard range. It says instant with a 0.5 second cooldown. Apply Hunter's Mark to the target, increasing all damage you deal to the marked target by 5%. If the target dies while affected by Hunter's Mark, you instantly gain 20 focus. The reason why it says that is because below only 1 Hunter's Mark can be applied at any one time. So I am actually thinking of bringing Hunter's Mark in. This is probably going to be in my next test. Would be to get rid of Streamline and move to Hunter's Mark. 75, Born to be Wild, reduces the cooldowns on the aspects. By the way, the aspects are aspects of the cheetah and aspects of the turtle, and that is it. No additional aspects there. And then you've got Post Haste. Disengaging also frees you from snares and whatnot. And increases your movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. And then Binding Shot to CC. So this is your kind of CCs and your reduction of aspects, which of course give you utility. So this is utility line. Next one, Lethal Shots. Steady Shot has a 10% chance to cause your next aimed shot or rapid fire to be guaranteed critical strikes. Now, I've gone for this because I wanted to see, you know, with aim shot being a guaranteed crit, could be very interesting indeed. How this has actually worked out so far, at 10%, it certainly hasn't felt like 10%. It's more felt like about 1%, but okay. Barrage. Every hunter knows about Barrage. Pull as many mobs that you didn't want to pull in the first place and piss everyone off. Is Barrage. Then we've got Double Tap. Instant ability, minute cooldown. Your next aimed shot will fire a second time instantly without consuming focus. Or your next rapid fire will shoot twice as many shots during this channel. Now, I did have Streamline and Double Tap at one point. This is a line which I'm playing with at the moment. I've played with Barrage, I've played with Double Tap. Now I'm playing with Lethal Shots. From what I can say, Lethal Shots probably going to get changed back to one of these two. Yeah. I know it seems I'm very negative on this spec. Like I said, I'm not negative on the damage on it at all. The damage seems to be there. I'm just negative in how it just doesn't seem to gel. To be perfectly honest with you, but that could be me. Somebody could just be saying, "Hey, Az, this is what you do. You put this to here, and bingo, jingo." You know, somebody could come along and easily do that. Calling the Shot passive ability. Casting aim shot reduces the cooldown of True Shot by 6 seconds. Of course, you know, your True Shot's on a 3-minute cooldown, and it is a big damage increase, so, you know, okay. Lock and Load, this is what I'm playing with at the moment. Passive ability, your ranged auto attacks have a 5% chance to trigger Lock and Load, causing your next aim shot to cost 0 focus and be instant. Again, it's another one that I barely had proc, to be perfectly honest with you. It's barely proc, so I don't know what the conditions of Lock and Load are in terms of, like, what's the chance, what's the internal cooldown of it, all that kind of stuff. But this ability has barely procced. 5% chance, apparently. Well, you know, that's a 95% chance of not happening. And, yeah, like I said, barely proc. Doesn't even feel like a 5% chance, to be quite frank. Piercing Shot, 35 focus, 47-yard range. Instant ability, 30 second cooldown. A powerful shot which deals X amount of physical damage to the target and up to X% of physical damage to all enemies between you and the target. So through and out. Basically chakras. Chakras! It's essentially doing the same thing. Let's be honest here. So again, I'll be changing things around on this spec to try and get something that I like. At the moment with this spec, I'm struggling to in terms of fluidity. Whereas all the fun that I was having in the survival spec, none of that is translating over into marksmanship at all. In conclusion, I understand and admit and appreciate I am not a hunter by trade. And therefore, if you are, you could have seen things in today's video that made you think, well, I should go for this and I should go for that, and you should be tweaking this and you should be potentially tweaking that. I get that. But do you know what? I'm not a hunter by trade on the live servers either. And marksmanship is 100% more fun and interesting to play, even for a scrub like me, on the live servers than it is on the alpha for Battle for Azeroth. This is the worst spec I've come across so far in terms of fun. Not damage. Damage seems to be there for sure. Even after they do their buffs and their nerfs to all the classes to try and get them as to parity as much as possible, I'm pretty sure that marksmanship will be absolutely fine. But just in terms of gameplay and how interesting I found it, compared to something like survival, which was so much fun to get in, out, felt explosive, felt cool, marksmanship just doesn't even compare. Dull, boring, clunky, unintuitive. Eyes do not like one bit. Fingers crossed, there's still 4 months until release. Fingers crossed they do something to try and make this feel a bit better, because right now I don't think it's anywhere there at all. But I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel, hitting the bell icon right next to it, of course, so you absolutely get a notification when I release a video. On top of that, I've got my social media and Twitch for live streaming links in the description box down below. I will not be posting any future videos saying that I'm going live streaming. So you've got to follow me on Twitter to know when I'm going live, or you've got to be following my Twitch to know when I'm going to go live. But I will be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.